technology problems. It's so lame. No. Perfect. Perfect. Yay. Oh, it's good? Oh, YouTube was saying it's good. YouTube's been fine all evening. YouTube works now, but Twitch is muted. That is so weird. What the fuck? What about now? Is it fixed now? I just changed something. I hear you now. It worked. Oh, I think I did it. I think it was my fault. Okay, cool. Nice. We back. We back. Yeah, I think it was my fault. I just like did something in the settings. I guess I did it on accident before and it only affected Twitch. All right. So, cool. We're back. That was spooky. Now we're back. So anyway, this is where you were, I think. You said, imagine being 22. So you're 22. You have to be like fake pregnant. Your weird predator husband is being a predator. It's the trenches. It's literally the trenches. 22 is being the trenches for anyone, especially in Courtney's situation. So in January 2017, Courtney and Doug separated again, but they were still living together. And later on, Courtney says part of the reason that getting a divorce took them so long is because Courtney like literally didn't know what to do. Like didn't know how to file the paperwork and legitimately like how to make this happen and how to get divorced. Which is horrifying. That is literally so fucking horrifying to think about. But this is 2017. Kind of the same situation as before. They're still living together because, again, does Courtney have a bank account? Does Courtney know how to find a lease? Does Courtney have credit history? Does Courtney have a valid high school diploma? No. And again, no shade on those things. Product of what happened. So this is May 2017. Courtney speaks out on her marriage and miscarriage. She should be graduating college and getting an apartment with friends. No, literally.
In a doctor's exclusive, please welcome Courtney Stodden to the show. Courtney, thanks for being with us. Welcome. I was going to ask you to start whether or not you think people have the wrong idea about who you are.
Definitely. I became famous when I was 16 years old. And I mean, when you're 16 years old, you are a completely different person, obviously, from when you are in your, early 20s and then ultimately 30s, you're a different person. And I think I kind of went into a zombie mode, if you will, I feel like I kind of shut down emotionally, mentally, maybe a little bit. And I lost myself in that process. I kind of feel like at a young age,
What were you like before then? Before the celebrity hit?
Typical teenager?
A kid. I was
These TV
carefree.
doctors are so insidious. They really are.
I still am. I'm still holding on to that.
Well, in fairness, you're still really young.
I am
You
really
have gone through all of this.
Hopefully.
Hey, Courtney, I know you and your mom, I guess, are estranged right now, maybe
Yeah.
working it out, but have you been able to form any positive relationships with other women or older women?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. I think because of the tumultuous relationship that I do have with my mother and so many things, for me at least, trust has been shattered in a lot of regards. And I,
What was the main
I
thing
do.
that shattered that trust, if I may ask?
I think throughout the years, there's been a lot of things, that have happened. I do have a lot of hurt that I carry inside of me with that relationship. And, just things, like, wondering how, a parent could sign off on a 16-year-old marrying a 50-year-old. Yeah.
Do you resent her for making that decision to let you get married so young?
Thankfully, I did marry a good man. And I know the situation is extremely unconventional, but there are the stories of Celine Dion and Renee Angelil and John and Bo Derek.
So let's notice how Courtney repeated all the exact same things that Doug had said in other TV interviews in years prior. Interesting.
And, you know, he is a good man, so I'm happy that she signed off to a good person, and he still is in my life. He's been my rock through times when I've suffered so many tragedies in my life. But I don't want to say I regret her decision in doing that. I don't want to live with those regrets, but I do now realize probably why she did sign off on it, because she wasn't really completely happy in the relationship with my own father at the time, and she always loved Hollywood, you know, and so did I. And I think when I started to express that interest, and this opportunity came along at 16, falling in love, you know, she was extremely supportive.
You don't have any children with your husband, right? But you guys had.
We do not.
You were pregnant at one point, right?
It ended in a miscarriage, and it's still hard for me to talk about. So
I feel so bad for her. Like, I don't mean this to sound mean, but like you can literally tell Courtney's a shell of a person. Like you can tell, like it's just giving trauma. It's just giving trauma. So March 2018, Courtney filed for divorce and did not request spousal support. And like I said, the only reason Courtney said it took this many years to file is because they didn't know how to file. Like they've never done a legal document ever. So Courtney, this is really long. Like I'm going to warn you guys, this is really long, but it is imperative, unfortunately. This is a BuzzFeed article. I didn't even do this intentionally, but next week we're talking about BuzzFeed quitting stories. This is a BuzzFeed article that Courtney did in her home in 2019. If you were here for my Gabby Hanna streams, that long article, it kind of gives that... Oh, that's why I see what's happening now. I see what's happening. That noise that just happened, I had to unmute that for you guys to hear me again. Interesting. That literally scared the shit out of me, but it's fine. Okay. Oh my God. And my screen is off. Y'all, I just like don't have it together today. I don't have it together today. I'm sorry. So Courtney did this interview in her home in 2019 with BuzzFeed. Courtney Stodden's Hollywood Hills home is haunted by the ghost of Marilyn Monroe. Stodden has only been in the house for 2 months, and there are still unpacked boxes waiting to be opened. But other than her 39-year-old boyfriend, Courtney's 25 at this point, and manager Chris Shang and their 3 yappy dogs, their dog names are Cartier, Cupcake, and Cappuccino, which I am unfortunately obsessed with. Like, those are great dog names. Where was I? And a shy cat, Casanova, a cotton candy machine on the bottom floor, a rotary phone in the foyer, and everything in her home feels like an object of devotion and a makeshift shrine. So, Courtney's 25. She filed for a divorce from Doug, but they're not officially divorced yet. Now she lives with this guy who's also her manager and her boyfriend. I wouldn't call that the greenest of flags. Not the greenest of flags. I don't love that. I don't love that. I was listening on TikTok and I thought you were talking about Kourtney Kardashian, and I could be. So, a giant topless portrait of Marilyn faces the stripper pole that bisects the living room, where 2 coffee table books about the actor are on display. A framed photo of Marilyn at a restaurant table hangs in the kitchen, with a duplicate hanging just 2 feet away, alongside a photo of Marilyn reading a book about acting, while a Marilyn Barbie and a Marilyn cross-stitch sit behind a glass door cupboard in the dining room. So Courtney's obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. Her whole house is decorated Marilyn Monroe. Likely thing for a young woman in her early 20s to do. Likely. So we're not going to read the entire article. We're just going to read most of it. So if it feels like it's kind of jumpy, it's because I took out some parts that discuss things you and I already have. So this wouldn't surprise anyone familiar with Stodden's Instagram, which for years has been filled with almost exclusively kind of Marilyn cosplay. Stodden's recently gained a little bit of weight intentionally, although she's still teeny tiny, giving her more hips and butt in addition to her surgically enhanced chest, sending her into full pinup territory. Although lately she seems to be channeling a late era Britney Spears with PC long blonde hair and sparkly chokers. And she's been open about the way she idolizes the actor, writing in a letter she put on Marilyn's grave in 2016. "You're in my heart and my very nature. I find strength in her, and it's not the image. There's so much more than meets the eye, and I connect with that so much. I've created this image, this alter ego, which is Courtney Stodden, this bubbly persona who marries old men. It's stupid, it's silly, it's funny, it's sexy. It seems like what's happening here, and again, no judgment on this, is that Courtney is like separating herself from herself. Like, there's a word for it, like disassociating, kind of. Like, she's like that. That's not me. That's a character. Kind of similarly to Marilyn Monroe, being treated as like a character rather than a person, which this makes so much sense to me. I don't know why anybody's confused. Looks aside, Stodden was still a child bride who needed and received the consent of her parents to marry in Nevada, where the legal age of marriage is a mere 16. Her mother signed off on it, and her father walked her down the aisle. Stodden and Hutchinson went viral, and they became immediate tabloid fixtures. Blah, 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 blah. So the couple eventually appeared on ABC News to tell the world that their love is real, as real as the love between a 16-year-old and her middle-aged husband, seemingly skirting California's statutory rape laws could be. Hutchinson, though through his management, declined to be interviewed for this story without an offer for substantial compensation. The marriage lasted longer than a lot of most people would have suggested. Stodden didn't file for divorce until 7 years later. She says it took her 2 years to even figure out how to file the paperwork. In the years she was married to Hutchinson, Stodden made a sort of career out of her own notoriety. I wouldn't say that she made it. I would say that he forced her to. She was a cast member on Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen, the Mother-Daughter Experiment Celebrity Edition, and Celebrity Big Brother on her own. She was a PETA spokesperson for going vegan, which she no longer is, a cover girl for Girls and Corpses magazine. What the hell is that? And she also opened up about how hard it was to be criticized by a cruel public nearly constantly about her miscarriage, her sexual assaults, her depression, and her mental health. Whether you think she was just a foolish girl seduced by the chance to be famous and sold out by parents who wanted to be adjacent to that fame, or an abuse victim with no agency, or the knowing architect of her own creepy narrative, Stodden was roundly mocked for years by the public for waiting for her 15 minutes to be up. Tabloids have called her worse for wear, fame whore, regular whore, and suggested she's secretly a 40-year-old woman mocked for her hypersexuality, for having her period, and depending on the day, for being too fat or too skinny. The American public remarkably and comfortably sneering at a 16-year-old who married someone old enough to know better, and Stodden grew up in a kind of media wasteland where the easy and seemingly reasonable thing to do was to call her a dumb slut. That's why I like this BuzzFeed article. I think they're pretty honest, and it's like good journalism. Like, they're not really giving their opinion that much, at least so far. The way that Stodden was treated as a punchline makes some sense when you look at her and Hutchinson in any photo from 2011 or listen to them in any interview. There's no response other than laughter when you see this clearly staged paparazzi photo shoot at a pumpkin patch. She's wearing knee-high go-go boots and her husband is wearing cargo shorts. It was linked, but it's been taken down, so I don't know. I don't have the picture. They look completely mismatched and absurd together, and Stodden knows it. If I was now looking back on this, I would be concerned. Where's her mom? Where's her dad? And who is this guy? It's fucking crazy. So it does seem like Courtney is starting to, like, realize how fucked up this is. We're getting there. Now at 24, Stodden, who was tabloid fodder before she was old enough to legally smoke, vote, or drink, is in an almost divorced, vaguely recognizable reality show professional who has burned through more money in a few years than most of us see in a lifetime. I don't think she burned through it. I think it was Doug. And she wants to be something else for herself, an identity and sense of self where she's actually in control. After all, other women in the public eye who have been shamed or abused in years past are beginning to see reconsiderations of their legacy all over the place, and why shouldn't she? I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I'm coming to the surface. Me, no one else, not this, she says, pointing to the nude portrait of Marilyn Monroe in her living room. But that famous quote often attributed to Marilyn, a wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she is left, only sounds empowering until you're old enough to realize they're the words of an eternally lonely and depressed young woman who may have killed herself intentionally or otherwise. While Stodden clearly certainly romanticizes Marilyn, she says she actually keeps her around as a reminder for how wrong it can all go. The trauma, the pills, having your narrative constantly consumed by men around you. It reminds me to remain cautious. I want to live happy and be free. I need to be vulnerable and learn how to coexist with fame. Like, literally, Courtney makes so much sense to me. Everyone being like, I don't get it. Why is Courtney obsessed with Marilyn? Read between the lines. Like, think. For years, Stodden was the opposite of cautious with how she courted fame, and it certainly seemed like she suffered for it. But while I might call what happened to her trauma, where I might have said that the real-life power dynamic between Stodden and her much older husband was disturbingly clear, Stodden is less black and white. She's still unwilling to hold those who had more power than she did accountable, including Hutchinson. I know that I love him so much, and I think he's also ingrained in me because I was 16. He has his thumbprint all over my spirit, and that part is hard for me to grow out of. He's in my identity. Like, to be able to verbalize that shows a high level of self-awareness and reflection, in my opinion. This is where I'm like, okay, it's giving Stockholm. If he wasn't the person he is, I would absolutely say he took advantage of me. But the situation was so unique, right or wrong. Stodden and Hutchinson separated multiple times during their marriage, hashing out their disputes online or in tabloid interviews. And now, even as their divorce is still being finalized, they're still regularly in touch. One thing is settled, though. Their shared dog, Courtney, lives with Hutchinson full-time. As we talk, Stodden's phone lights up with a text. It's Hutchinson. I knew it was controversial. I knew it would be hard for people to accept it, but I had no reason to be prepared for what happened. This is still BuzzFeed. I hate her fucking mom. I had no idea how old he was, Keller tells me over the phone. So the person at Courtney's house is doing a phone interview with the mom. This is what Courtney's mother is saying about her. Her answers about her ex-husband give textbook grooming victim. No, they really do. This is what Courtney's mother is saying. It somehow gets worse. Courtney was 16 going on 35. They just really hit it off. It's just one of those things. It was almost a legal matter for me when I signed off. I knew she could have just left and done what she wanted to do. So the mom is basically saying, I knew they hit it off and I thought she was going to be with him anyway, so I might as well just sign it. She's always said we're like Siamese twins. She can feel what I feel. She fell in love with him through me. That's what Stodden says. Keller claims this is untrue, saying that she became Hutchinson's confidant after his marriage to her daughter since they were of similar ages and could relate to each other better than maybe a 51-year-old and 16-year-old could. Nonetheless, Keller is still clear that she gave Hutchinson her approval to marry Courtney. I didn't really have a lot of authority over what Courtney wanted to do, her mother says. Bitch, it's your child and you signed the document. You drove her to Vegas. Like, what do you mean? You are in control. You are. Stodden and her mother have since reestablished their relationship, but the truth of Stodden's teenage years is unavoidable. Keller encouraged and signed off on Stodden's marriage, helped propel her into the public eye. She was full throttle. Oh my God, this is your moment, Stodden says. She always loved Hollywood, and when I expressed interest, it was like instant euphoria. At the height of her fame, Stodden says she was earning 6 figures for reality TV appearances and 5 figures for television interviews, work that she felt compelled to do since Hutchinson had become a pariah in the industry and couldn't get a job. It's not work she loved either, but it's work that she had to do to keep the household afloat. It's not just a paycheck, it's blood sucking. Damn. Stodden says that her father, Alex Stodden, was in and out of her life, emotionally distant, and is now unwilling to have a relationship with her because of her marriage. The main foundation that's shaky is my father, she says. He would get very angry, just a man screaming. He would just scream at my mom. They'd fight a lot. It wasn't physical, but mental and emotional. Keller corroborates this description, and her father did not respond to multiple requests for comments. Stodden's parents divorced a year after Courtney married Hutchinson and now are both remarried. Her mother's in Los Angeles, her father in San Diego. Stodden says that she and her father are no longer in touch. I think he wants me to be a totally different person. I had a really bad night one night. It got really dark because I deal with depression, and it got really bad, and I was frantically texting him, and he didn't write me back. But other guys do, right? Other daddies do. This is this is literally textbook, and it's horrible. It's so, so sad. Doesn't she have older sisters? That's a great point. Where are her siblings? She has multiple siblings that are much older. So she was kind of raised only child vibes, but she does have much older siblings. Where the fuck are they? Maybe they got away from the parents and were like, I can't. Which, they probably should have taken Courtney, but, anyone that grew up with these parents, I'm going to be, pretty forgiving of them. drawing a direct line between her feelings about her father and her romantic relationship with a significantly older man might look too neat, but it also from that relationship. It's obvious, though. You can Google me and figure it out. Stodden says her childhood became unpleasant because as soon as she started going through puberty, because she was raised in Ocean Shores, small town, she said that when she developed breasts, she used to wear extra thick push-up bras to create the illusion of implants when she was still a teenager. She started wearing frosted makeup, and she noticed that she started getting more and more attention, and she said that she felt the town turn on her. It was like, oh my god, this bitch. This town was very chill, and I walked in looking like Pamela Anderson. Predictably, a lot of the attention she received was from older men, and it still makes her uneasy. I was a kid and I looked like an adult. It was confusing. Now that I'm an adult, I realize I'm not just a body. I'm a human being. I'm a good woman. The audio's out again? Damn it. Merp. I'm mad. I'm mad about the story, and I'm mad this isn't working. I think it's Twitch's fault. Like, I'm gonna be honest. It's working on YouTube. YouTube is good. Do we just keep going? I'm gonna look up his Twitch down. It's probably that fucking, like, Amazon Web Services bullshit again. Ugh. No current problems at Twitch. Lies. Lies. Oh, you're back? Oh, I'm back. Okay, good. Thank God. I really, didn't have that in me. Okay. So this is still the BuzzFeed article. Stodden buries her face in the couch cushion and screams when I bring it up at that interview that made them go viral right after the wedding. So remember the interview we saw last week where Courtney's on the couch and she's very, very hypersexual. She's wearing a leopard print bra and jean shorts. They're being interviewed at their house. This is Courtney talking about that. I was like, okay, if I'm nervous, I'm just going to do something crazy. It just happened. It was so crazy. A horny panic response. When you're nervous, just get horny. Yeah. I get it. She also says that on some subconscious level, she was trying to channel Marilyn. It's almost like that Marilyn Monroe story where she'd put on her red sweater and she'd turn into this different woman. She was very sexy and sexual and she was just a kid, Stodden says. As legend has it, a junior high school student named Norma Jean Morinson once wore her red cardigan backwards and it transformed her into the sexy Marilyn who became a worldwide celebrity. That's exactly what I was doing. Stodden says. She says that she thought if she looked or acted a certain way, they won't know I'm nervous. They won't know I'm a kid. They won't know anything. And again, that feels like a very developmentally 16-year-old thing to do. She was a 16-year-old bride about to be on national television. She was super fucking nervous. So obviously she acted really weird in that interview. In Stodden's version of the story, the reasons why she married Hutchinson were separate from wanting to make a name for herself. She was trying to become a singer when she met, but she says her biggest and only hit, Don't Put It On Me, was online before she ever married Hutchinson, and the video went viral after the wedding, much to her current humiliation. She says she plans on re-recording the song, and she said, we're not going to do it in a swamp this time. Already dealing with the tumultuous in her family life, humiliated at school because of how she looked, she dropped out but finished high school through online Christian school. Stodden saw Hutchinson as a way out of her miserable life. She also notes that he was just one of a few significantly older men that were pursuing her when she was a teenager. This is fucking gross. At 15, I had police officers from Texas writing me to get to know and marry me, she says. Men who noticed the photos and videos she posted online. Because remember how last week I said that she was cultivating a MySpace following? What time is it? Okay. Where was I? Adult men who worked with her half-sisters were interested too. She points out that they all knew how young she was. The luck then wasn't that Hutchinson wanted to marry her, but rather that she loved him deeply and figured he was a way out of her circumstances. She said if Hutchinson hadn't come along, she likely would have run away from home regardless. How did they access her with the goal to marry her? Exactly. She's like, I think in this moment, her perspective is that like, oh, see, it was happening all the time. But that just further solidifies how little Krista did to protect her. And Krista was like very active in her exploitation. Throughout our day together, Stodden plays old episodes of I Love Lucy on repeat in the background on mute. It makes me feel like I have a really good family, she says. It's one of those shows she watched with her mother, an old comfort, a glimpse into what her life could have been in another universe. Stodden, a doting but eccentric wife, happy in love with her Hutchinson. He was a safety net. There were other guys way richer than him, she says. I just fell in love with him. He was everything. He was everything. So I want to fucking know who these 15-year-olds are. Like, or not who these 15-year-olds are. I want to know who these police officers writing 15-year-olds are. And the 15-year-olds, I guess. I want to keep an eye on this situation. Because what do you mean? What do you mean as a Texas police officer, you wrote a 15-year-old because you liked her MySpace page? I think you should be on a list. In many ways, Stodden doesn't seem at all different than she did in 2011. She still looks years older than she actually is, although she seems younger in person than she does on television or in photos. Her laugh is still pitchy but bashful. Her makeup cracks when she smiles, which is often, and she still resembles a life-size Barbie with big hair and bigger boobs. Best decision I feel like I've made, she said about her triple D breast enhancement, emphasizing this was her decision for once. Maybe that's what's changed, is less about her and more about the rest of us and how we respond to her. Or maybe it's just that she's a legal adult, free to do whatever she wants with her body, career, and relationships. Stodden has chosen this moment to not only embrace feminism, but fashion itself into kind of a feminist figure too. Between sexy photos of herself, she tweets and Instagrams about social justice issues, Me Too, sexual assault, and harassment she's had to deal with. As a survivor of sexual assault, I cannot help but tell Roseanne Barr to fuck off, she tweeted in March after Barr mocked the Me Too movement. Stodden recently moved in with her boyfriend, Chris Shang, who at 39 is still much older than her and is, like Stodden also, going through his own divorce. This is not great. I jumped from Doug to him, Stodden says, the only time she speaks somewhat dismissively about the man she says she loves. Shang, through acting as Stodden's manager for the time being, claims he isn't taking any kind of financial compensation for helping her out, which appears to mean responding to media requests like mine over email, ferrying into her meetings, and advocating her with music producers. Beyond the age difference, you can tell there's some uneasiness in the relationship. I love how this diva is about to tell us everything. We fight over Doug, Courtney says. Despite the fact that she's going forward with her divorce, Stodden isn't sure whether or not she's actually meant to end up with Hutchinson, which is awkward but acceptable for Shang. Hutchinson, meanwhile, has given interviews claiming that Stodden has told him she's not in love with Shang, saying he's in for a huge and painful loss. She's still trying to figure out emotionally what that is, Shang says, turning to Stodden. He was like your dad and also your husband. You're so mature and also you're still 24 and still figuring things out. Sorry, I can't fucking breathe. This conversation is so uncomfortable for Stodden that she resorts to whispering to my questions, too shy to ask Shang to leave the room. I ask him to do so instead. When I tell her she seems uncertain about the long-term viability of her relationship, she leans in and whispers, "Do you think I'm not sure?" Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Does she know she can just date them? It doesn't have to be your whole world. She does not know that. I am confident she has never seen a model of a normal relationship. Because again, like, when I was in high school and when I was in college, I would see my friends dating. I would date. Like, you learn through yourself and through your peers. She doesn't have peers and she couldn't do it herself. So, yeah. The thing is, she may no longer be a teen, but the trauma likely developmentally delayed her. I have a theory that you stop maturing when you become famous. That's a theory that I have. What's abundantly clear is that Stodden still needs and seeks approval from someone. It's most obvious when she talks about her body. She tells me that she's happy to be carrying a few extra pounds, yet asks Shang if she looks fat from time to time during our conversation. The thing that really makes me feel bad is when I lose weight and people tell me how good I look. I'm just so sensitive. Stodden tells me that what she really wants right now is to be alone. I'm so ready to not live for men anymore. That's primarily what's held me captive, is finding approval from my father and men, she says, but she's not sure she's capable of doing it yet. Like, she's so close. Like, that frontal lobe is like, it's so close to locking in. And it's about to lock in. We're like kind of almost done. And she's about to lock in. Like, just trust me, like, she is about to lock in. As much as Stodden says she wants to change the way she relates to men, it's hard to ignore that her relationship with Shang started out with a lie. When they first started going out, he fabricated his net worth and burned through his life savings while taking her and her friends out in LA. I was trying to impress her, he says. I'm an insecure person by nature. Here, Stodden jumps in. I'm attracted to insecure men, I think. I need Courtney to have a therapist that's not on television. Like, that, I think, would be revolutionary. Shang and Stodden are standing on the patio outside the bedroom they share, and she looks at him now and then to prompt him telling the truth. Do you want me to say it? She asks him. Be honest. Each time she does this, he looks like a boy being shamed by his mother, and there's a sudden power reversal between the two of them. When they first started dating, Shang was so committed to maintaining the lie that he was rich and successful that he exhausted his 6-figure life savings. I'm sorry, like, in Los Angeles, a 6-figure life savings is, like, not that big of a deal. Like, that does not make you rich in Los Angeles. A 6-figure life savings? Like, which 6 figures? Because you being a 39-year-old man in LA with $100,000 is different than $999,000. Like, what is it? Like, yeah, you did burn through it in a couple months. It's really easy to burn through a couple grand in a couple months. If you're taking nice vacations, like, you can do that no problem. I could easily spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in a few months. So, like, you weren't rich. Like, they're trying to say, oh, he was rich, and then they spent it all on Courtney. Like, if you can spend all your money in 3 months, you're not rich. You're not. 6 figures is about a middle-class life savings, retirement in middle America, maybe. That's what I'm saying. Like, do most people have that? No. But our economy is also horrible. But, like, you kind of need, like, you know what I'm saying? Or did he lose his life savings in the ongoing divorce? Great point. Where was I? Stodden says she had no idea he didn't have the money he was blowing on her. I should write a song about you, she tells him. Shang meekly rubs his hands together. She's got something. She just gets men to be able to give her whatever. She doesn't even ask for it. I don't do that, Stodden says quietly on the patio, perched on a pink chair. I really don't. And I believe her. I believe that Courtney is not doing that. Shang's comments are eerily similar to what Hutchinson said about Courtney in the past about how much he sacrificed to be with her. My agent dropped her, our relationships like Marilyn and Joe DiMaggio, blah, 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 blah. Stodden's mother talks about her in a similar way too, as if Stodden is uncontrollable. I could have said no, but Courtney has a mind of her own. She's a very strong-minded girl. She does things she wants. Again, she's 16. Most of the adults in Stodden's life seem to be happy to brush off any accountability when it comes to her, painting themselves as merely cogs in her manipulation machine. Courtney made me do it is a lot easier to say than contending with being with a man who courts a woman decades younger than him through lies and an unequal power dynamic. So it's no wonder that Stodden feels the near constant, hard-to-manage guilt. Like, all the adults are saying she's so manipulative. She's a child. Let's start there. So we only read like 40% of this article. I know it felt like we read a lot, but I think it's good reporting. She worries that she's been a bad daughter to her father, that she isn't sexual enough for her boyfriend, that she's hurt her ex-husband. She frets about both consensual attention she gets from men and the impact of her assaults, often in the same breath. She can't enjoy the company of men without feeling anxious that they're going to hurt her, or worse, to her, that she'll hurt them. I feel guilty for these guys. I guess because I feel I invited it in. You invite it on. You play. You feel good. You're getting attention. But then you're being preyed upon, and you don't realize that until after the fact. The struggle, the swinging mentality between feeling like prey or predator is fraying her. When she talks about Shang, for instance, she oscillates between love and pity. This is literally insane. Poor Chris. He thought he was going to get in a relationship with this young hot celebrity who's all sexual and fun. He gets in there and I don't have sex, I'm a mess, and I'm crazy. She throws her head back and laughs, the same laugh she delivered on ABC News years before. When it comes to Hutchinson, who it's good to remember here is now 58 years old and has lived through 2 marriages in an entire lifetime before he even met Courtney, her guilt is profound and deep. Hutchinson made a choice to court and marry a teenage girl. Any consequences he's suffered because of that, to me, are reasonable. Yet she frets about him constantly, about how he lost his family and career because of their union. I take responsibility for it, she says. I didn't want to continue hurting people along the way. I've hurt him a lot. The reasons for their split are complex, and Stodden is unable to point to any single thing, although she suggests part of it is that she could not be 16 forever, and that maybe she didn't have enough experience to be married so early. I never really had the chance to try and fix myself, she says. This is the reporter's take on Courtney. I've spent the better part of an afternoon with Stodden and Shang at their house, but by early evening, Stodden has to go to a nearby music studio to work on her latest track, Hot and Juicy. Before we go, she changes from the outfit she was wearing while we talked, a white knee-length dress with nude Louboutins, into tight jeans, tall black boots, and a skimpy black top with spaghetti straps. Once we get to the studio, she sits with her long legs in Shang's lap. She and her male producer talk about the vibe for her new songs, mostly having fun and being fun. I watch as Stodden shifts from the sad, thoughtful version of herself that she presented to me earlier to a flippant, self-effacing alter ego, stupid, silly, funny, and sexy. The change is jarring. Now her giggling is constant and her voice becomes more childlike. She shakes her breast and eyes dim a little as she squints through the thick brush of false lashes. She puckers her mouth like she's done in so many TV appearances, and the buxom blonde on a producer's couch. I don't know who I am as an artist, she tells the producer, which seems totally at odds with what she's told me all day, that she absolutely knows who she is, she just needs the space to go and become that person. I don't think any of these are, like, disagreeing with each other. Like, a lot of people are like, she said this, but then she said this, but, like, all of it seems to align to me. Like, I think she's being very clear. I have a lot of feelings about men and the media after reading that. Not the biggest fan of that. That was not ideal. Not good. It was good reporting, but not a good situation. So, Courtney and Doug's divorce was finalized March 2020. What a time. Stodden announced this on Instagram, saying that they felt absolutely taken advantage of and groomed, which they stated began at the beginning over email. So, this is March 4th, 2020. Courtney Stodden confirms she and Doug are officially divorced. I was taken advantage of. I wish you well, but please don't ever do this to another minor again. Because she knows he's disgusting and a predator. Poor Chris, hold me back. No, for fucking real. Is this video gonna work? These fucking pimple stickers, I'm going crazy.
We have not signed divorce papers yet. We are legally separated.
You're legally
And
separated.
because the process is so fresh, you know, it's only been like 2.5 months. So, I'm also trying to take things slow because I love him and, you know, it's really hard on him. And, so.
It's very sensitive.
It's extremely sensitive.
Well, Courtney Stodden is opening up about her split from actor Doug Hutchison, who she famously married when he was in his 50s and she was only 16. When I just sat down with Courtney, who's now 22, I asked her if she regrets getting married at such a young age. Watch this.
I don't really like having regrets. I don't really want to live that way, you know, and harp on something that I feel like I shouldn't have done. You know, I feel like it's affected me in ways, you know, and they're playing themselves out now, you know, like I feel like I really didn't get a chance to do a lot of things a normal 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, ultimately 22-year-old girl goes through and experiences. And I always say it's kind of like a split world where I feel like I'm, you know, 57, like his age, but then I also feel like I'm 7, you know,
Yeah.
I missed out on a lot of things.
Also opened up about what led to the end of her marriage, including the heartbreaking miscarriage that she and Doug went through in July of 2016. Watch this. What was the breaking point for you?
I think it just kind of was like, started to develop over time, realizing that, maybe we need to like separate and part and go our separate ways to find our individual happiness, because we went through so much like as a couple, and the past 6 years has been beautiful, crazy ups and downs, but then a lot of times when a couple experiences too much, it can weigh
The media hates young women. It's really so true.
Each individual.
I've been through a lot. I can't even imagine. You suffered through a miscarriage in 2016. How did that affect the marriage?
Deeply. It was very challenging to go through that as a couple. And, I also suffered many other losses in 2016 and in 2015. So it was hard. But I feel like we really unified through those times. And again, he was there for me as my rock when nobody else was. So I think that's...
It's giving Stockholm Syndrome. This is her post announcing... Sorry, it scares me every time. This is her post announcing the divorce. It's March 3rd, 2020. Today I am officially divorced from actor Doug Hutchinson. It's an emotional day for me. God only knows how he's feeling, but I can tell you that it's for the better. I look back at this picture and feel absolutely taken advantage of. I've been scared to speak up about feeling groomed or being verbally abused during the almost 10-year marriage because I was a child and he was 50 when we were married. But I'm a woman now, and it's time for me to put my big girl pants on and speak on this matter. I felt completely trapped, manipulated, and at times abandoned by adults. Growing up in such an environment, it became a dark and lonely place. Stay tuned for my book. And to Doug, I don't even want to read this. I will always love you, yet I'll always be angry. You've left me, a child woman feeling belittled and confused. These things I shall overcome. I wish you well. But please don't ever do this to another minor again. It's not right, even if the parent signs off. Wait a respectable amount of time before marrying. Children aren't on your level. I'll always love you regardless. Be better, as shall I. That is a heartbreaking post. That is heartbreaking. Like, oh my God. And that really just says it all. A child woman. A child woman. And the way that Courtney says, don't do this again, like Courtney knows he is a predator. And if you recall, we read last week how someone else was like, before this happened to Courtney, Doug did this to me. We didn't get married, but like he preyed on me and assaulted me then. And apparently Doug is on the bullshit again. And Courtney had to reach out to a girl and was like, don't fucking talk to him, by the way. And then April 15th, 2021, Courtney Stodden comes out as non-binary. So they, them, theirs. I don't identify as she or her, which later I've seen mixed things about. I don't identify as she or her. I felt like I've never fit in anywhere. I was bullied horribly in school because I was different. The other girls never understood me. I never really connected with anyone my age. My spirit is fluid with a kaleidoscope of color. I think fluid with a kaleidoscope of color is a really gorgeous way to describe gender. We'll talk a little bit more about the gender stuff later. This was also in 2021, September 23rd. Courtney Stodden says being mocked by Anderson Cooper night after night as a teenager was like he was bullying a child. In 2011, when the marriage started, Anderson Cooper was like making a lot of horrible jokes about Courtney, which we talked about in part 1 to this. May 28th, 2021, Courtney got engaged to Chris Shang from that article. And then in July 2023, the engagement ended. Thank God. I didn't like it. I didn't like him. Sorry. I felt like he had red flags. Do I think he was as bad as Doug? No. Do I think he was good? No. And not that it matters, but I do love the dark hair on Courtney. It looks really good. Again, it doesn't matter, but I just noticed it. So yeah, didn't work out with Chris Shang. This is March 2022, so before they broke up. But honestly, I didn't feel like talking more about him, so I just told you everything at once. So March 2022, Courtney Stodden says they were not a child bride, but a child who was exploited. I'm haunted by a lot of shit. My mom has gotten a lot of hate, and I understand why, Stodden said. If I ever have a baby and am raising that baby, from my own experiences, I would never sign my kid off, ever, to an adult man who is 34 years older. There's just no way that would happen, but I think she thought she was doing something that was going to make me happy. Truly, I do believe that. In retrospect, she knows it was the wrong decision. Stodden alleged that during their marriage to Hutchinson, in which they were not able to sign any legal documents, the actor was extremely emotionally abusive as well as physically abusive. The celebrity Big Brother star also claimed that Hutchinson looked at them like a child and had a gun in the house. I think it's the ultimate power a groomer has over a child, that emotional abuse and control. I feel like I didn't even have any control over my own body, my own finances. I was just so controlled. Stodden clarified that they don't believe in Stockholm Syndrome, which is defined by the Cleveland Clinic as a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation, but was trauma bonded to Hutchinson, making it hard for them to believe the reality of their situation. Stodden, who got emotional and held back tears during the interview, said they're still healing. It's very, very fresh for me. They also admitted they're in therapy, working through all of this and seeing things much more clearly. When I go to sleep, my dreams are so normal, and then when I wake up, my life is so freaking insane. I like to sleep most of the day, and they're haunted by a lot of shit. The 27-year-old additionally divulged that they had a drinking problem and struggled with disordered eating and poor body image. You see yourself from every angle in the media, and it completely shattered me. So I had my breasts done right when I turned 18. I wanted to be the woman everyone expected of me. However, they said they're so ready to get them out. I loved having them. I'm not against plastic surgery. If you want to do something to your body, that's your freaking choice, but my back feels like a 90-year-old woman. Trauma bonded being used correctly, finally. A therapist cooked here. No, like a therapist cooked here. Side note, again, not that it's important, but shortly after this, they did have the implants removed. So, yeah, they did that. Again, like, not really the point of the story. Now free from Hutchinson, Stodden told Cooper that they only want to make sure that they want people to make sure that they want to make sure people know their situation is not uncommon in the United States. This is the whole point of why we're doing this. About 300,000 children, underage children, were married to adults between the years 2000 and 2018. 86% of those children are girls. This is in this country. We think of child brides as some foreign situation, but it's in the USA right now, some as young as 10 years old. Stodden spoke out about being bullied by people like Chrissy Teigen, who recently came under fire after those tweets about the Dirt Nap resurfaced. Stodden said that they never spoke personally to Teigen, who publicly apologized. Chrissy publicly apologized and wanted to talk to Courtney privately, and Courtney was like, no, which valid. I was not a child bride. I was a child who was exploited. I think that's something people should think about. Stodden previously opened up about this misconception in a 2020 Instagram post. This was the post from 2020, so we're like jumping timelines a little bit here. 10 years ago, I turned 16. Nothing could have prepared me for what was around the corner. I had a child's mind, a teenager's body, and I was a virgin. However, it appeared to everyone around me that I was a woman who was grown and able to make my own choices. According to many, I was mature enough to date men my father's age or older and eventually marry one. Looking back, I now see how desperately I craved my own father's attention. He didn't teach me how to drive. I didn't know how to write a check. I never went to prom. Instead, I dropped out of high school, went to Las Vegas, and with the blessing of my parents, wed a 50-year-old man that I had just met in person. I gave him my all. My body, my mind, my heart, my soul. No one stopped me. No one stepped in and said this wasn't okay. Instead, after achieving a kind of fame I wasn't prepared for, the world became my jury. I hid myself beneath a blonde mask, and I eventually lost my complete identity. I was the victim of sexual assault, abuse, and rape. I'm putting this out there now on the eve of my 26th birthday because I'm in the middle of exposing all in my memoir, diving headfirst into the traumas of my past as I work on growing into a healthy woman. I am focused on unburying that 16-year-old and revealing the 26-year-old I've become. I hope you will be here to support me when I come out the other side. Their clarity about this is really impressive. So, June 2022, Courtney Stodden admits they hid who they were before self-discovery. It was survival mode. Courtney Stodden has been on an immense healing journey from their past traumas. The Model 27 sat down with OK to talk about the marriage, blah, blah, blah. When they were only 16 years old and changing their pronouns to she, they. So redacted note, I couldn't find anything about the book. So we're just going to skip over that. And remember how at the beginning I said in some like more updated interviews that Courtney was a part of, they use she, they. This is one of the ones that I was referring to. That's why there's been a mix of pronouns here. So in April 2021, Stodden revealed that they are non-binary, listing their pronouns as they, them, theirs. Now the musician says they identified as she, they as they continue to evolve and learn more about themselves. Now I am she, they. I feel very confident in that, in myself, in my growth, and in my self-improvement, they explain. I came to a realization inside me that sexuality, emotion, souls are all fluid, they say about their self-discovery. We're all fluid human beings and we can change, we can grow. I just came to a realization, oh wait, that has the same quote twice. I am now feeling quite comfortable with my sexuality and my femininity. I've always identified as high femme and that confused a lot of people. But I think other people looking in at you, it's hard to judge a book by its cover. However, getting to a place of being comfortable in their own skin was not easy. I'm working hard on being truthful and being open and trusting myself enough to even feel my emotions. I hid who I really was and what I was really feeling because I felt it would have been too painful to live through. I think in a way it was survival mode. I think a lot of people can relate to that. When you're in a situation that's abusive or hard to understand, it's the fight or flight thing that I really went through that. And with Stodden learning more about themselves every day, they seem to be doing and feeling better, and we couldn't be happier for them. So Courtney's discussion about gender kind of reminds me of Trisha Paytas. If you've ever heard Trisha Paytas talk about their gender, Trisha has said that they feel like they can like embody gender in like a performance way and in a caricature way, kind of like a drag way, like seeing gender as a costume and a character and something that's ever changing and fluid rather than like something that's a permanent state of being. I think is a very interesting way to look at it. It's not a way that I personally have felt within my own body, but it's something that I really understand and makes a lot of sense to me. And like, I'm like, yeah, I get that because I kind of, again, just like being a woman and living in a woman's body and wearing makeup and those things, it's crazy how different you can make yourself look with makeup and hair and how different people perceive you when you look differently. So like, I get what they're talking about here. So August 2023, Courtney began dating film director and producer Jared Safier, and then they got married December of 2024. So Courtney Stodden and her fiance Jared got married in a last-minute wedding, US Weekly can confirm. They tied the knot in Palm Springs. They only had 20 guests. We planned on getting married and we didn't have a date. We just kind of looked at each other. We're in the same crazy. We just looked at each other and we're just like, it's the perfect time to do it. They were planning nuptials 3 weeks ago when they realized both of their families would be in town for Thanksgiving. It's the holidays, it's already stressful, and we just bought a house together, so we're dealing with that, and our family was like, you guys are crazy, and we're just like, yeah, it just felt like the right time. I'm a really free spirit, and I've always been that way, and I don't think that's going to go away after the marriage, so I just feel like it was the right time, and it all came together. Not going to get into the wedding too much. Her dress is a $60,000 vintage dress, and the ring is the ring that her dad gave her mom when they tied the knot. Don't know if that's the best omen. They had a vegan menu. Courtney's gone back and forth on the vegan thing, which most people do. Being vegan's super fucking hard. I'm feeling excited, like I'm on a journey of where I'm supposed to be. He lights up her life. Everything that's happened to this point has led me here. He said, I'm feeling great. I get to marry my best friend and the love of my life. It sounds like she's really putting in the work addressing the trauma. They're the most mature one in the whole situation, which is nuts. I've never been more proud of a stranger. That's why I made this 2 parts, because I was like, I don't want to just speed through Courtney's like undoing of this, because we see it happening in real time, from where Courtney was like, the marriage just didn't work out, but I love him, he's an amazing person, to like fully accepting like I was groomed and this was wrong. Like to see that in real time, I felt like was important to discuss. While planning her wedding, Stodden reflected on her past. I want to be happy. I think of the marriage that I went through in Vegas. It was so fast, I couldn't process it. So this was important to me. I finally have my choice of getting married. I don't have to have a parent sign off on this one. This is completely my decision. Here's some of the wedding photos. I love the dress. Love the dress. Is it weird if I DM Courtney and I'm like, hey, diva? Seemed like small wedding in California, family only, very, very pretty. I love the look, I have to say. Like, one thing about Courtney is Courtney's gonna dress. So this is Courtney reflecting. This is a very recent, March 2025.
Who was Courtney at
See how
16?
many slides we
A
have left.
girl, a minor, a child.
She was a small-town girl with visions of stardom. Were you naive?
Of course. At 16, weren't we all? I was
Okay, we're almost
screaming
done.
for some kind of love.
He was a Hollywood actor, perhaps best known as the sadistic prison guard in The Green Mile.
No, I won't do it. You can't make me.
I was a child. He had power.
Courtney Stodden, the teenage bride who married 51-year-old Doug Hutchison in 2011. It raised eyebrows across the country.
I'm gonna skip
A
through some of this.
16-year-old bride may seem
we
like
know
something
this.
from another culture or century.
51-year-old actor Doug Hutchins.
Really be blessed with a beautiful gift, and God did. He blessed me with my soulmate.
Now, after divorcing Doug and getting remarried, the woman who was at the center of a firestorm says she's taking back her power,
She is gorgeous.
reflecting on her past that shaped who she is today. She says she's a crusader for other young, vulnerable women.
When you're in love and you're underage, you're like, oh, this is my first love.
Were you in love?
I thought I was. I was in love with what he groomed me into believing was true. And I was in love with feeling so happy.
Special.
And feeling so special. And now in retrospect, I was never special.
Like, a therapist
So how is this
cooked.
legal?
Everyone wanted to know how this happened, why this happened, and who said it was okay that something
I
like this
mainly
could
just want to
happen.
talk about the
Everybody thought, did
interviews
she
with
lie?
her
What happened?
present
No,
day.
she had her parents' permissions.
Courtney was a... What goes through your mind?
If I could, I
Courtney's first television interview. When you
We
look
saw
back
that.
on that, what goes through your mind?
if I could, I would go bust down that door mid-interview, grab her, and give her a hug.
I have to say, when I look back at the interview, you look a little out of it.
You know what's funny? I was sober.
Really?
And I was hoping you were going to ask this question because I've always wanted to be asked this for like over 10 years.
Wow.
Juju. I was completely sober. But after that interview, I wasn't sober anymore.
Overnight, Doug and Courtney became a media sensation.
She was just
Constant paparazzi.
fascinating to people. People wanted to know
I think
why
Doug
this
was telling the
beautiful young
paparazzi
girl
where they were
was
going.
allowed to get married, and then why she married this old man.
The newlyweds would become the butt of tabloid fodder, like on CNN's The Ridiculist.
So she probably only had to miss one day of high school. And what was she going to miss in 11th grade anyway? Algebra?
Gross.
The paparazzi was on every corner looking for them because
Pinto
that was
sticker.
big money back in the day. So they saw this as a cash cow moment.
Media scrutiny was very unforgiving to young women during that time. And instead, what happened is they became completely villainized.
This idea that the paparazzi not just hounded you, but shamed you or helped put you on the stage and then you were shamed.
Well, the paparazzi were trying to pay their rent, you know.
You're very gracious.
I really never blamed the paparazzi. I really never did.
And that you also related to, when you saw the Britney doc, all the paparazzi, that those were the same paparazzi.
Yeah, I recognized all of them.
What was that reaction like for you? How did you...
It made me feel less alone.
Class conscious queen.
I think in the 2010s, paparazzi was like hardcore. You know, you look at what Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and young celebutantes kind of went through with regards to paparazzi and
Celebutantes?
tabloids. I mean,
Oh, I
it was
like
just
that
a
word.
24-hour frenzy.
Their unorthodox relationship fascinating and repulsing some in the public. As Courtney and Doug became more high profile, so did the backlash
Early
against their
2010s
relationship,
media was brutal.
with celebrities singling out Courtney. Chrissy Teigen tweeted at the then 16-year-old Courtney in 2011, "I hate you," and later, "My Friday fantasy, you, dirt nap."
And I know she's saying that it was from alcohol or whatever she wanted to say it was from. Saying this to a child when you're the queen of Twitter, it was so much.
Chrissy has said, you know, in the long run that she was going through something and she apologizes for that. But it's a real dark turn to this entire story.
I did actually almost succeed at committing suicide because of it was a huge part of it. I had a suicide letter written.
Damn.
Sorry.
That's horrible.
I remember my last thought was, maybe I don't deserve to be here when people that high up are telling me I don't deserve to be.
So I just got a message in my TikTok chat that I want to address. So I guess you gave up on real history. This is real history. It just is pop culture history that just happened. A woman was ripped apart and was like literally taken advantage of by a predator on mainstream media. So like to me that is historic, and this is not just a academic space, which I've made very clear.
Years later, when the messages resurfaced, Chrissy Teigen says she lost multiple brand deals and apologized to Courtney, writing in part, "I have tried to connect with Courtney privately, but since I publicly fueled all this, I want to also publicly apologize. I'm so sorry, Courtney. I hope you can heal now, knowing how deeply sorry I am." After almost 10 years of marriage, Courtney says she finally filed for divorce in 2020. She was 26. Doug was about to turn 60. In a statement to Impact, Doug writes in part, "These false, malicious, and egregious allegations are sadly and assumedly fueled by Courtney Stodden's insatiable and desperate desire to remain in the entertainment media limelight at all costs."
Ugh, Doug.
Ms. Stodden has a history of unfortunate deception and or exaggerations
Like all the adults
to depict
blaming
herself as
her.
a victim, using unsubstantiated and provocative terms, incautiously, like grooming, abusive, and predatory. If you take the time to explore an unbiased deep dive into Ms. Stodden's deceptive and narcissistic nature, you would uncover a plethora of manipulative dishonesty.
I don't know. We've spent 4 hours watching pretty much every single fucking clip of Courtney over the last 15 years, and that's not what I gathered from it. So Courtney Stodden also says that she has become sober from alcohol. She said, "Alcohol, I'm breaking up with you. It's been a toxic relationship for years, something I used to cope." And she said that this is the last time they would be drinking. "I'm done letting you control me. I'm done feeling sick and ashamed. I want to be fully present in my life. I want to face my past, my trauma, and my current reality with a clear eyes and real strength." And she also says that Doug taught her how to drink. He would drink bottles and bottles and bottles of alcohol, and he would abuse me. So I started drinking. I learned from my groomer how to drink. While the reality star detailed previously using alcohol to cover things up that make me unhappy, they were determined to stick to their new lifestyle. "I never want to end up out of control. I won't let it happen to me." And then they posted like a before and after pic, which to me, I don't really like their body, whatever, but like you can tell in their face, they look a lot happier and more present. And this is September 23rd, 2025, Inside Edition.
She made headlines at 16 when she married a 51-year-old man. Now, as her story becomes a Lifetime movie, Courtney Stodden is speaking to our Jim Murray, saying she was groomed to be a child bride.
At age 16, Courtney Stodden's marriage to a 51-year-old actor sent shockwaves across the USA.
It does seem like Courtney's
now, at age 31, Courtney says she was a child bride and is making a blistering attack on her now ex-husband.
This is a 16-year-old and a 51-year-old, somebody who's older than your own father.
It's a child exploited.
Do you feel like you were groomed?
Absolutely, yes. Exploited, groomed.
Doug Hutchison was best known for his role on the TV drama Lost and for playing a ruthless prison guard in the film The Green Mile.
Why do we have to keep talking about his acting
But it's his
career?
marriage to Courtney that captured the national spotlight.
The stripper shoes, the short skirts, all of that, I was told who I was.
She married a 51-year-old
encouraged
man.
by my groomer.
Her story is now depicted in the new Lifetime movie, I Was a Child Bride, the Courtney Stodden story, premiering Saturday. We spoke to actress
watched
Holly
it.
J. Barrett. Who
I thought it
plays
was a great
Courtney.
film.
She'd already been made into this like caricature of a person with like the hair and the outfits. So I just wanted to be really delicate with it.
I think I love you too.
Some states allow 16-year-olds to marry with parental consent. Courtney was legally married in Nevada with her mother's approval.
I realize the
I'm
numbers
so amazed that instead of withdrawing,
disturbing.
which everyone would understand, she's shining the spotlight on grooming. Like, I really admire Courtney so much. Like, to come out of this is really admirable.
How many minors are married to adults?
Hutchison calls Courtney's claims false, malicious, and egregious.
Well, he's a
Ms.
loser.
Stodden has a history of unfortunate deception and/or exaggerations to depict herself as a victim, using unsubstantiated and provocative terms like grooming, abusive, and predatory.
Making this movie was hell, but it was worth it because it's going to help other people.
Courtney is now married to TV producer Jared Savior, who is 10 years older than she is.
I don't like that they mentioned that. Who is 10 years older than she is. Like, she's a 30-year-old woman now. So I feel like as a 30-year-old woman to be married to someone with a 10-year age difference, like, isn't that crazy or noteworthy? And I think that they never would have said that about anyone else that they interviewed. Like, if they interviewed someone for a completely unrelated reason, they wouldn't have said that. That's why I don't like it. So Courtney Stodden's mother disputes portrayal in the Lifetime movie. Classic. It's showing me as strong-arming her, going, yes, Courtney, you want to do this, right? And that just never happened. I did not force... Yeah, we're not going to co-host on TikTok. Thanks so much, though. I did not force or even manipulate my daughter into this marriage. Krista acknowledged she was a stage mom and signed Courtney up for online acting workshops, but said her role was limited to seeking opportunities. But before you said you monitored all the emails and you were attached to Doug and lived with them. Okay. The film features actors, blah, blah, blah. Krista said, I wish I would have talked her out of it. We were just in a situation. I did not make the best decision. I hate this bitch. Courtney's dad reacted badly too. This is from a couple weeks ago or like a week ago. She's long joked about her daddy issues, suggesting they played a role in a marriage, even releasing a song of the same name. And she has spoken about being estranged from her father. And the movie suggested that they reconciled, but they did not actually reconcile. In the movie, her dad like apologized and they like had this lovely moment. This is what has happened. I know the movie portrays my father and I to kind of be at peacemaking right now. And during the writing process, this was about 2 years ago, my dad and I were trying to have a reckoning, some kind of something, because that's all I ever wanted was my dad. If you do the math, it doesn't take rocket science. I was a 16-year-old marrying someone who was older than my father. The story starts with a girl craving her father's love. And the hard part for me today, in this moment, as an adult with a fully developed brain, is realizing that my father doesn't want me in his life. That's the hardest thing for me right now. It completely shatters my heart every day. Stodden says she never realized she had daddy issues, saying before her song was just to make a caricature about the pain. And that is why she did that at that time. And she hoped that her and her father would be trying to reconnect when the movie was being written and the pair would be at peace by the time it was released. So that's why they portrayed it in that way. But that wasn't the case. He just won't respond to me at all. He's so broken himself and so hurt by what happened. She said she believes her father, who walked her down the aisle, thinks everything that happened was his fault. He's so hurt to the point that he went to my childhood home, ended up taking all my videos, my VHS tapes of my first birthday, my third birthday, all the way to when I was 12. He took them to the dump and completely threw me away like trash. I literally could cry talking about this. So I don't have any childhood memories anymore, and at this point in my life, I feel like I'm trying to beg for some kind of love. I think that's going to be the hardest part for me moving forward, trying to heal from that. So it seems like when they were working on the movie, her relationship with her dad was somewhat improving, but then like it just really went sour after that, which is really horribly, horribly sad. Courtney may forgive, but I do not, and you do not. My mom she's built of steel, that woman. I don't know what makes her so strong. That's the thing about my mom. No matter what, she is there, and I know in retrospect she would never sign off on this again and regrets it every day. I admire her for that. It takes a lot of accountability because no parent wants to admit they are wrong. Regarding my dad, that's a whole different story. So this is the most recent thing I could find. This was 2025, Fox News, sorry. Courtney slams child marriage as America's a dirty little secret and revealed that she was the breadwinner. Realizing everything that happened to me in present time has been a lot to process. When I first hit the spotlight, I was a young girl. My brain wasn't developed yet. And I had a certain image of what my life was. I thought I knew everything. I mean, what kid doesn't at 16? And then things started to escalate quickly, and my role seemed to shift in the marriage quite quickly. I became the breadwinner. People have this misconception that I married for money as a child, which they like to victim blame, which is insane. I mean, looking back on it, I was a child who was making money for a man older than my dad. A lot of the stuff I couldn't talk about. So when I would realize it, then I can't talk about it, I stuffed it down. That led to a lot of self-destructive habits that I kept to myself. Now in current present day, I'm 31, my brain is developed, I'm starting to realize what did happen to me, and it's been a pretty hard pill to swallow. Obviously, there's a problem in America. We think of child marriage as something that's just overseas or foreign, but it's really America's dirty little secret is the loophole in the judicial system for, in my opinion, pedophiles to marry children. And the scariest part of this whole thing is that I am not alone. There are so many people that reach out to me and tell me their horror stories of being a child bride, and Doug did not respond for comment on this. So I hope this diva is doing... That scared me. I hope that this diva is doing absolutely amazing. Courtney motherfucking Stodden, executive producer on that movie, so that's why I did refer to it so much throughout this. But yeah, I think that Courtney's story is like a lot. There's the sources that I used. Courtney is incredibly, incredibly inspiring to be able to come out of this and be literally alive. To be alive is incredible. And to be like taking back the narrative and bringing awareness to child marriage and bringing awareness to grooming and exploitation. I just cannot admire her enough for this. And I hope that if she sees this, which she probably won't, she feels like it did justice to her story. Let's do our little game moment that we always do. This was long tonight. That's what she said. This is just a little trivia over what we talked about. Do they have the Halloween one yet? Yes. So, I can't believe she still talks to her mom at all. I know, right? While you guys join this, let me catch up in the chat a little bit, and we'll get out of here shortly. Thank goodness she has autonomy. Wishing all the best to Courtney. So heartbreaking to hear her talk about her mother so positively. Poor Courtney. Her mother was her first groomer. The mom shit is a lot. The mom shit is just a lot. She has a TikTok that says, "Join me in my healing journey." Healing journey. Maybe she knows Whitney. But anyway, if you want to join this little trivia game, we're going to go ahead and say bye-bye to TikTok because my phone feels like it's on fire. But if you want to join this little trivia game, the directions are on the screen. I put the link in the chat. You don't need an account. You don't need money. You don't need an email. You don't need anything of that sort. You just follow the directions. Your name will come up. If you don't want your name to come up, put something funny instead. I'll give people a moment. And bye-bye, TikTok. Love you. Adios. Oh my God, my phone is so hot. Yikes. There you all are. It just takes you a couple moments. I still need to pack my lunch. There's just a lot going on today. It's a lot. Glad I got RSV and called out of work so I could learn about this diva. I'm glad you're not at work, but I'm sad you have RSV. What are you packing for lunch tomorrow? Same thing I always eat, salad. Salad. We love salad. I don't know which one. I have a few to choose from. I have like no brain cells right now, sorry. How was the beach? The beach was dope. I'm tired, but the beach was awesome. All right, I'll give it a few more seconds. We looked at a bunch of wedding venues and I hated most of them, but it was still cool. Everyone was really nice. I think I just like hate most wedding venues is kind of the crux of what I'm thinking, but we'll figure it out. We're vibing. I'm hungry. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit start. There's enough of you here. Let's get this money. Sorry, I'm talking to someone about MTSS. All Blondes is diabolical. Sorry, I didn't even remember what I put there. This is Halloween music. Who managed Courtney's career? What was the relationship between Krista and Doug? When did Courtney and Doug renew their vows? What's your favorite kind of soup to make? Oh, it really depends. I would say if I had to pick a favorite, I love like a shredded chicken, like taco chili. Like shredded chicken with like taco seasoning and like lime and cilantro and lots of tomatoes and like beans and corn. That's my shit. That's my favorite. Have you used the green chilies in it? Yes. I have like the ones I put in queso, not fresh ones though. I should try that. I usually use bell peppers, but like a poblano or something like that would be good in there. Sorry, you tapped the wrong pick. Which adult in Courtney's life took accountability for their actions? Roasted Hatch chilies. Okay. this isn't good. Apparently at Harvard, they're going from 6 PhD sociology students to 0. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. I have not done a stream about Casey Anthony. I fear I can't. Courtney, we're proud of you. That's the perfect first place winner. Saturn Cat, A Sonic Parking Lot, CWAB, Allie, Don't Stot on Me, Dolly Clayer, AMF, Lilvla, Tina Belcher, God Bless Courtney Stodden, S, Christopher Jail, A Hy-Vee Parking Lot, Blue Booby, Barnaby Jones, Trash Bananas, Brian B. Giggling, and Kristen. All right, I'm only going to stick around for a couple seconds. I don't know how it became 9:30. I guess through all of our technology issues, I kind of lost track of time. Of course, this isn't loading, because why would it be? There we go. Any memes, anything to add, anything to share? I'll give it a few minutes, and then I'm getting out of here. Nice job, Lemur Banana. We love Lemur Banana. I'm like just cranky. I've just been cranky today. You know when you just feel cranky? And I'm going to work tomorrow. I haven't been there in a little minute. I'm so giddy about it. Courtney's ex-husband showing her all the good things he has to offer. I hope you're hungry for nothing. Y'all know I love a Nathan Fielder. Courtney, you should have been at the club. I mean, she did say that she was really into clubbing for a while. More like, Courtney, you should have been protected. Like, what? Because it's not the club, but I know what you're saying. Like, your sentiment is correct. We're just not quite there. Yes, next week, club is going up on a Monday. We've just been, like, chaotic recently. Sorry about that. But after this, we will get back on track and normal. Next week, Monday, BuzzFeed quitting stories. BuzzFeed quitting, so it'll be a lot of watching people talk about it, and then we'll talk about some stuff that came out about their employment structure and how they, like, really didn't do great by their employees, and things of that nature, and how a ton of the people that you and I were raised by on the internet have since left. Needed this stream after failing my driver's test today. Remember, if Courtney can rise above and get through that, we can get through anything. All right, love you so much.